Well, I had a different question, but it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're...
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
So why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice, who's not for that? But words do migrate. Now, I'll use any term you want,
okay,
because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left? But don't tell me the left
or maybe the super far right.
Well, he's talking about the left.
Well, then
okay, but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat.
In a spirited exchange in The View, Bill Maher and Sunny Hostin sparred over the contentious evolution of the term woke. Maher argued that while woke once stood as a rallying cry for awareness of social injustice, particularly within the Black community, it has since been co-opted and transformed into a divisive tool wielded by political extremes. He contended that the term's weaponization has fueled polarization, losing its original intent and becoming a point of contention. Hostin, however, pushed back, suggesting that the term's roots in social awareness and justice remain relevant and meaningful, emphasizing that woke need not be surrendered to partisan misuse. This fundamental disagreement underscored a deeper clash over the trajectory of progressive language and the complexities of defining social consciousness in an increasingly polarized climate. Well, now we'll see how Bill Maher destroyed Woke Sunny Hostin.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that because I think you're almost a free speech absolutist. You believe totally in the right to say what you believe, but I think a lot of us were disturbed to see terrorist flags being waved on American college campuses and seeing this, a generation that some I think genuinely care about the plight of the Palestinians. I think most Americans do, but some who seem to be embracing a terrorist organization over the nation of Israel. What do you make of this moment? What do you think it's a result of? How do we fix it?
Well, I mean, it's just astounding to me that they can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. I mean, just morally. I mean, let me tell you, if you're for Hamas, just live in Gaza for a day. And I'm not talking about while the war is on. I mean, before the war. Trust me, you would go running and screaming and begging to live in Tel Aviv, a place that has your values. I mean, women have this is a show watched by a lot of women. Women have no rights in this place, and a lot of majority Muslim countries around the world. I mean, there is no equal rights as far as speech, dress, opportunities for education, reproductive rights, freedom from sexual violence, freedom from sexual harassment.
The LGBTQ community as well.
Yes.
You that too. But you throw around the term apartheid. There is a gender apartheid in a lot of the world, where women are second-class citizens, at best.
This critique is grounded in his observation of certain leftist factions offering tacit or overt support to groups like Hamas, which he identifies as antithetical to those principles due to their oppressive policies, especially toward women and minorities. Now, his concern is not limited to political alignment, but extends to what he perceives as moral inconsistency. By supporting groups or ideologies rooted in values that undermine equality and human rights, he argues the left risks losing credibility and alienating its base. He frames this as a betrayal of the historical stances that defined liberalism, such as fighting for universal human rights and opposing authoritarianism. Sunny Hostin, however, challenged Maher's framing, emphasizing the need for greater nuance in understanding these alignments. She acknowledged the left's complexity, but argued that supporting the Palestinian cause is not synonymous with endorsing Hamas. Hostin underscored that many activists and progressives align themselves with the plight of innocent civilians under occupation, not with extremist organizations. She urged that criticism of political or militant groups should not overshadow the broader fight for human rights and social justice.
I have a question for you because I don't know if you've noticed what I've noticed, but I find that oftentimes when I'm watching the news. I'm only getting portions, because one of the things that happens, I was listening to you talk about, the kids that had the Hamas flags. It reminded me of when people were saying Antifa is there, and doing that. So bad players show up and make stuff happen. But do you find that the view that we're being shown seems to be meant to guide us into thinking about people one way, when in fact it may be a much bigger conversation?
Oh, of course. I mean, the media is always going to just chase what is interesting to watch. I mean, I used to be able to watch the nightly news, for example. I can't do it. I mean, first of all, it should be called, here's some video we found that's fun to watch. That's not the news. Like anything that happens on a plane. Like the plane skidded off the runway, so what? Call me when anybody died, and it's not, the door fell off. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I understand the door falling off, because you don't want to be up in the air.
No,
okay, I'm sorry. That one I needed to know.
Okay.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And then by the time you get to the last segment, it's just, the bears in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
Yeah.
And it's narrative over truth.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like when I hear people talk on either side of it, I always think they're lying. They're just telling me half of it.
Yeah.
And I never trust them anywhere until I check out the other half.
Yeah.
And it's tedious.
Yeah.
I just want one place, and of course it's my book and my show.
To continue video, Bill Maher delivered a scathing critique of the media, accusing it of willfully stoking division and amplifying tribalism by prioritizing sensationalized narratives over truthful, balanced reporting. In his view, mainstream outlets are less concerned with delivering accurate, comprehensive information and more fixated on exploiting conflict and chaos to boost viewership and fuel outrage. He condemns this approach as a blatant betrayal of journalistic integrity, arguing that media companies knowingly omit or downplay stories that might disrupt their curated narratives, leaving the public with a distorted view of reality. Maher doesn't hold back in his criticism, arguing that the media has abandoned its role as an objective informer of the public, becoming instead a purveyor of selective outrage designed to keep people angry, divided, and distrustful. He calls for a return to journalistic principles, demanding that the media stop selling conflict and start reporting honestly, warning that if it doesn't, society will continue spiraling into division and distrust.
Year or two.
We're talking about your new book, which looks at 20 years of your editorials re-edited and reimagined right in time for Father's Day. What do you want people to take away from reading it?
Well, I think I think we're tribal now, which is not good. And I think there's 4 tribes. Basically, there's old school liberals, which I would mostly count myself as, old school conservatives. There's still some of those
You've
left.
changed, though.
Wait, what are the other two? Go ahead. What are the other two?
Well, that's what I was trying to find out in this book. I don't think I have. And we were saying in the break, we have to come up with a new word for woke. Let's have a contest, because this is a word that's triggering. But I mean, those concepts that are different than they were 5 years ago. I mean, we used to do, well, you did it. I was a guest on what was the homeless show? Comic Relief.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You were, great show.
Yeah.
And homeless was a term that I thought we kind of came up with, because people were calling them bums and vagrants and hobos.
Now that's
homeless. No.
It's unhoused.
Well, it's people
Unhoused.
experiencing
Now it's
homelessness. But they're experiencing it on the street.
Yeah.
Okay, the liberal view of that was for compassion's sake. We're the liberals, we're compassionate. Let's get these people off the street.
Yeah.
That's not the view of the, whatever word we're going to come up with for this. Their view of the homeless is they're an endangered species that needs to be protected in their natural habitat. Living their best life under a bridge. That to me is crazy. That's the kind of things, I haven't changed on that. I still think we should get these people off the street. That's the compassion sake. So I didn't change, they changed, and there's lots of examples of that.
And finally, Bill Maher paints a bleak picture of modern politics, describing it as a battlefield dominated by rigid, antagonistic tribes that prioritize loyalty over genuine discourse. He categorizes the political landscape into 4 primary factions: old school liberals, traditional conservatives, and 2 newer groups that often embrace extreme stances on social issues. These emerging factions, he argues, have replaced critical thinking with ideological purity, forcing people to adopt narrow identities and alienating those who dare to question the party line. He doesn't mince words in calling out this mentality as a dangerous step backward, warning that, unless we abandon our tribal loyalties and return to the spirit of open, good faith dialogue, we are doomed to live in echo chambers, disconnected from both reality and each other. This was a great episode on The View, where it was a back and forth between opposing viewpoints. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel, it helps us a lot. We will bring you more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching.